The day before my daughter Molly's wedding, I came home from the garage to find my old Ford truck gone. I'd parked it in the driveway that morning, loaded with my tools, and that heirloom torque wrench set my dad passed down. Molly stood in the living room, counting a wad of cash. Her face lit up like she'd just won a prize. "Dad, I sold it," she said. "The truck, the tools, everything. Got a good price, too. Enough to cover the extra flowers and the string quartet." I stared at the empty spot outside, feeling the weight of 30 years in that rig. "Molly, that's my work truck. My life's in there." She waved it off. "Come on, Dad. It's outdated junk. Nobody needs that rusty old thing anymore. The in-laws are flying in from Napa, and this wedding has to be perfect. Your stuff was just taking up space." Her words hit like a wrench to the gut. Outdated junk. All those late nights tuning engines, the races I'd won in my prime, they were junk to her now. I didn't argue. I just nodded and walked away, the cash she'd left on the table feeling like blood money. I'm Hank Miller, born and raised in this quiet harbor town in Maine, where the fog rolls in off the Atlantic like clockwork every morning. To most folks around here, I'm just the guy at the co-op garage, the one with grease under his nails and a toolbox that's seen better days. I fix fishing boats and tourist cars, charge fair rates, and don't mind the small talk about the weather or the latest catch. But that wasn't always my story. Years ago, before Molly was even a thought, they knew me as Red Hank. That nickname stuck from the flame red hair I had back then, wild as the engines I built. Started in my 20s, right here in this town. I was tinkering in my dad's old shed. Nothing fancy, just a welder and some scrap metal. But I had a knack for engines. Not the shiny new ones from the catalogs, but the ones that pushed limits. I got into the American Racing Series, the kind where drivers bet their lives on setups that could shave seconds off a lap. My big break came in '85 at the Eastern Circuit races. I designed a valve timing system that let the air-fuel mix hit just right, even under heat and stress. It wasn't magic. It was math and muscle. I tested it on a beat-up Chevy, running laps until the pistons screamed. That system won us the season. The team I apprenticed with took the championship, and suddenly, Red Hank was on the posters. Newspapers called it revolutionary. I licensed the design, and royalties trickled in for years, enough to buy the house, raise Molly after her mom passed, and keep the garage running. But I never chased the spotlight. I stayed local, teaching kids at the high school shop class how to torque a bolt without stripping it. Molly never knew any of that. Or if she did, she didn't care. To her, I was just Dad, the mechanic who smelled like oil and came home late. Her wedding plans changed all that. Molly met her fiancé, Alex, at some tech conference in Boston. He's from money, old Napa Valley stock, wineries and investors, the kind who summer in Bar Harbor but look down on the locals. Their wedding was set for a vineyard estate out west. Nothing like our simple life here. Molly called it a fresh start. She wanted it perfect. White tents, crystal glasses, a band from San Francisco. I offered what I could from the royalties, but she had bigger ideas. "Dad, we need a family contribution," she'd say on those video calls. "Something substantial. Alex's dad is putting up half, but we can't look cheap." I didn't mind helping. That's what fathers do. But when she sold my truck, something shifted. That night, after she handed me the cash, $800 for a rig worth 10 times that, I sat in my empty garage, staring at the walls lined with faded photos. There was one of me on the podium in '86, helmet under my arm, grinning with the team. Molly never asked about it. She grew up hearing her mom joke that my hands were working hands, rough and calloused, unfit for anything fancy. After Mom died, Molly buried herself in books and city dreams, leaving the garage world behind. The next morning, I woke early, the harbor bells tolling like a warning. I drove my backup sedan to the co-op, but my mind wasn't on the carburetors waiting. I pulled out my old ledger, the one from the racing days. Receipts, blueprints, royalty stubs, proof of what I'd built. Molly's words echoed, outdated junk. But junk didn't win races or pay for her college. I called up Tom Riley, my old apprentice. He's a team owner now, runs a shop in Portland. "Hank, you serious?" he said when I explained. That truck? With your tools? I'll be damned. Tom agreed to help. He knew the value of what Molly sold. That torque wrench set? Heirloom from my dad. Engraved with the Miller name. Used on every championship build. The truck? It hauled parts for a dozen seasons. And the gear inside signed helmet, schematics, even a prototype valve from my design. Molly hawked it all to some collector for pennies, thinking it would fund her perfect day. To impress the in-laws. Alex's father, Mr. Hargrove, was the type who sneered at blue-collar hands. I'd seen his emails Molly forwarded by mistake. Comments about how my contributions lacked polish. I wasn't angry, not yet. Disappointed, maybe, but I started documenting. Photos of the empty driveway, the cash with the buyer's note scribbled on it. I filed a report at the station. Nothing dramatic, just theft of personal property. The deputy, old friend from the co-op, raised an eyebrow. Hank, this for real? Your girl's wedding. I nodded. Afraid so. Then fraud, because Molly signed my name on the title without asking. It wasn't about revenge. It was about lines crossed. Tom arrived that afternoon, truck loaded with his own records. We sat in the garage, spreading out yellowed papers. Remember this? He said, pointing to a schematic. My valve timing patent, stamped and dated. This thing still powers half the series. Royalties alone bought my first shop. I laughed, but it was hollow. Molly never learned this. She saw the grease, not the genius. As the sun dipped toward the harbor, I made the call. Invite Tom to the wedding. Not as a guest, but with proof. Receipts, citations, maybe even that Hall of Honor nod I turned down years back. The Racing Association still talked about Red Hank. If Molly wanted a contribution, she'd get one. But not the kind she expected. The days blurred after that. Molly flew out early, buzzing about fittings and menus. Dad, you'll love it, she texted. It's going to be magical. I packed light. A suit I hadn't worn since her graduation, and a folder thick with history. The flight to Napa was my first in years. Turbulence shook the plane like a bad camshaft, but I held steady. Landing in the valley, the air smelled of grapes and money, so different from salt and pine. The vineyard loomed on a hill, all manicured rows and stone arches. Hargrove met me at the gate, handshake firm but eyes scanning my calluses. Hank, good of you to come. Molly's been talking about your support. I smiled. Wouldn't miss it. Inside, preparations hummed. Florists weaving vines, caterers polishing silver. Molly rushed over, dress half-pinned, hugging me quick. Thanks for the cash, Dad. It really helped. No mention of the truck. Like it never happened. That night, rehearsal dinner at the main house. Tables groaned under wine and charcuterie. Alex's family dominated, stories of deals and estates. My turn came, a toast. I raised my glass. To Molly and Alex. May your life together run smooth as a well-tuned engine. Laughter, but Hargrove's smirk said he got the jab. Molly shot me a look. Behave. I slipped away after calling Tom. Bring it all. The works. He chuckled. On my way. Got a surprise, too. Wedding morning dawned clear. Valley mist burning off like old fuel. Guests arrived in waves, suits and silks. Whispers about the rustic Maine father. I stood at the back, folder in hand, watching Molly walk the aisle in white. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on. Then the reception hall, a grand space with chandeliers and a dance floor. Toasts flowed, wine poured. Hargrove took the mic, praising his son's match, the future dynasty. Molly beamed, then nodded at me. My turn. I stepped up, not for fluff. Folks, before we celebrate, a word about family. The room quieted. I opened the folder. Molly knows me as a mechanic, but there's more. Slides projected, racing photos, schematics. Gasps rippled. Tom entered then, wheeling in a restored racer, my old number 7 gleaming. Hank Miller, aka Red Hank, he announced. Designer of the Miller valve system. Hall of Fame material. The hall erupted. Engineering greats I'd raced withstood. applauding. A citation unveiled, Technical Hall of Honor, presented on stage. Hargrove's face paled. Molly froze, eyes wide. Then the sheriff approached, papers in hand. Ms. Miller, regarding the unauthorized sale. Served right there. Live stream rolling to thousands online. But that was just the start. As the crowd swelled, word spread fast, numbers hitting hundreds of thousands on social feeds. The real pieces fell into place. My signed helmet, sold cheap, its collector called that night. Hank, it's yours. No charge. Legend like you deserves it back. And the tools? A rival owner sniffing a bargain got exposed. Turns out he'd lowballed the buyer to flip them. Tom tracked it, confronted him. The set returned, intact. Molly pulled me aside later, tears streaking makeup. Dad, I didn't know. The truck, I thought it was nothing. I nodded. It was everything. She chose then, no fight, no denial. Full restitution. Cash back, plus interest. Community service at the Racing Safety Fund I'd long supported. And a public apology, read to the guests. I undervalued what Dad built. His work isn't junk, it's legacy. The groom, Alex, stood by her, hand on her shoulder. We'll make it right. But cracks showed. Recordings surfaced, her mother's old voicemails, slurring working hands like an insult. Leaked to media, reframing the whole saga. Not scandal, but lesson. Respect the craft behind the calluses. Media swarmed after. Blue-collar redemption, they called it. I turned down the glamour, agreed to consult on safety protocols, mentor young engineers at the fund. No Napa vines for me, just engines and earned respect. In the quiet after, Molly logged her first hours at the fund, sorting donations. We really talked about the valve system, the races. Slowly we rebuilt. Not on money, but responsibility. Honest work creates what cash can't touch. The fallout from that wedding hit like a blown gasket. Sudden, messy, but fixable with the right tools. It was the morning after, back in my motel room overlooking the Napa vineyards, when the first calls came in. I'd barely slept, the events replaying. The restored racer rolling in, the sheriff's papers served amid gasps, Molly's apology echoing over the live stream. The video had gone viral overnight, racking up views in the hundreds of thousands. Reporters were already buzzing outside. I sipped black coffee, staring at the fog lifting off the hills, and thought about how one day could unravel so much. Molly knocked on my door around 9. Her wedding dress traded for jeans and a hoodie, eyes red from crying. Alex trailed behind, looking shell-shocked in his rumpled tux shirt. Dad, she said, voice cracking as she stepped in. Can we talk? I nodded, gesturing to the chair by the window. No anger in me, just a deep weariness from years of her not seeing me. Alex hung back, respectful, but I could tell he was weighing it all. His family's expectations against this new reality. She sat, twisting her hands. I messed up. The truck, the tools, I thought it was just stuff, not you. When Tom showed those schematics, the photos, it hit me. Red Hank. That's you? All those stories I ignored as kid tales. I explained it again, simple. The races, the designs, the royalties that quietly funded her life. No fluff, just facts. The valve timing system wasn't some relic. It powered modern engines, earned nods from the Racing Association. Your mother's words stuck with you, I added. Working hands. But those hands built something lasting. Alex spoke up then. Mr. Miller, Hank, I'm standing by Molly. We both are. My dad. He's not happy, but this isn't about him. Hargrove had stormed out after the apology, muttering about family embarrassment. But Alex, credit to him, saw the bigger picture. He'd grown up around deals and vines, not engines, but he listened as I laid out the restitution plan. Full payback. The $800 plus what the items were worth, tens of thousands for the truck and gear. Molly agreed, no hesitation. And the service, she said. I'll do it. At your racing fund. Make it right. That afternoon, we met with the collector who'd bought my signed helmet. He was a quiet guy from Sacramento, big in vintage racing memorabilia. Over lunch at a diner off the highway, nothing fancy, just burgers and fries, he slid the helmet across the table. Black leather, scuffed from laps, my signature faded but there. "Hank, it's yours," he said. "No charge." Saw the stream. Legend like you doesn't lose history to a quick sale. I thanked him, the weight of it familiar in my hands. Turns out he'd outbid others knowing the story, but the exposure changed his mind. "Keep building," he added, shaking my hand. Word spread fast. The rival owner who'd scooped my toolset got called out next. Eddie Klein, from a team in Indy, old competitor who'd always envied my designs. Tom Riley tracked him down. He'd lowballed the initial buyer, planning to resell the heirloom wrenches for profit. "Stole my thunder once," Eddie admitted when confronted, voice gruff over speakerphone. "Figured fair's fair." But with the media heat and association pressure, he folded. The tools arrived by courier that evening, boxed, intact, even the engraved set from my dad. I unpacked them in the motel, the metallic clink bringing back shed nights in Maine. Molly watched, quiet. I cleared it all out for pennies. To impress them. The in-laws wanted perfection, no rough edges. She meant Hargrove's crowd, the glossy Napa set who viewed my world as quaint at best, dirty at worst. But cracks were showing. That night, old recordings surfaced. Voicemails from her mother, slurring insults I'd long buried. "Those working hands of his," one said, laced with disdain after a race win I'd shared. "Blue collar forever. Don't let Molly turn out like that." Leaked somehow, maybe from an old phone backup Molly had digitized. Media pounced, framing it not as scandal but backstory. The slur that shaped a sale, one headline read. It humanized the mess, turned the saga into a lesson. Respect the craft, don't dismiss the maker. The groom held firm, though. Alex pulled Molly aside during the drive back to the estate, their rented SUV trailing dust. I followed in my sedan, giving space. Later, he told me, "She's family now. We learned from this." But the circle cracked. Invites to post-wedding brunches dried up. Hargrove's associates whispered about baggage. Molly overheard one call. "That Maine mechanic stunt? Tacky." She hung up, face pale. "They don't get it, Dad. Your work, it's real, not their fake polish." By evening, offers rolled in. The Racing Association, fresh off the Hall of Honor citation, wanted me for more. Not just a plaque, but induction, full ceremony back in Maine. And consulting, safety reengineering for young teams. I'd mentored before, but this was official. "Steer clear of the glamour," I told the rep on the phone. "Focus on the track, the builds. No spotlights." Molly listened in, nodding. Her choice solidified. Community service at the fund, 200 hours minimum. Sorting gear, organizing clinics, hands-on like I taught her as a kid before she tuned out. We flew back east together, the three of us. Napa faded behind, all vines and veneers. Maine welcomed with salt air and harbor bells. The co-op garage felt like home again. My backup sedan parked where the truck once sat. But it returned 2 days later, towed from a lot in Sacramento, cleaned, detailed, even a fresh tank. Molly handed me the keys. "Restitution starts here." She dove into the service, logging hours at the fund's office in Portland. First task, cataloging safety gear for junior racers. "This valve stuff," she said one afternoon, flipping through my old notes. "It's smart. Why didn't I see?" Media kept the story alive, reframing it clean. Outlets like Auto Week ran pieces. From Junk to Jewel, the mechanic's legacy. Interviews poured in, podcasts on engineering ethics, talks on family and work. I picked a few, always steering to the point. Honest labor builds what money can't. No revenge tales, just facts. Molly joined one, her apology public and plain. I valued flash over foundation. Dad's hands? They're gold. The induction came mid-fall, leaves turning red like my old hair. Portland Speedway, packed with old teammates and new faces. I accepted on stage, helmet under arm, tools at my side. "This ain't about me," I said into the mic. "It's about the next build. Safety first, re-engineer tracks, mentor the kids." The crowd cheered, engines revving outside. I launched it right there. A hands-on safety track, workshops on valve systems and crash prevention. No glamour, just grease and graphs. Molly put in her hours steadily. At the fund, she scaled the coursework, turned my notes into modules for high schoolers. Add diagrams, she'd suggest over coffee at the co-op. Make it visual. We talked more, really talked, about her mom, the slurs, how they'd blinded her to my world, about Alex holding steady amid the Napa fallout. His dad softened eventually, even sent a check for the fund. Quiet amends. Rebuilding was slow. Dinners at my place, simple, chowder and stories of races she now asked about. No rush, no fluff. Responsibility earned it, step by wrench turn. The truck sat in the drive again, tools in the box. Molly drove it once to the fund, grinning at the rumble. Not junk, she said. Legacy. Alex visited too, sleeves rolled up for a workshop. Their life shifted, less valley gloss, more grounded plans. A small place in Portland, him consulting tech with a mechanic's twist. The circle mended, not whole but stronger. Media faded, the lesson stuck. Craft over cash. In quiet moments, harbor fog rolling in, I tuned an old engine at the garage. Molly stopped by, hands cleaner but learning. Dad, thanks for the push. I nodded. Honest work creates bonds money can't buy. We were proof. Fall turned to winter, snow dusting the track. My safety program grew, first class full, kids wide-eyed at the valve demo. Molly helped teach, voice steady. Alex cheered from the stands. The apology hung in the air, public but past. Conviction, avoided, her deal sealed. We moved forward, engines humming. One evening, post-class, we sat in the shop. What now? She asked. I wiped a rag over the torque wrench. Keep building. She smiled, real. The pieces fit again. Not perfect, but true. Winter gripped Maine like a seized piston. The harbor frozen in patches, wind whipping salt off the waves. It had been 3 months since the wedding, and the safety reengineering track I'd launched was my anchor. No big ceremonies, just a converted hangar at Portland Speedway, filled with workbenches and whiteboards. Kids from local schools showed up twice a week, ages 16 to 20, eyes hungry for more than screens. I'd start each session with the basics, torque a bolt right, or the whole setup fails. Molly joined most days, her community service hours ticking down steadily. She'd log in at the fund's office first, sorting donations, then head to the track, sleeves rolled up, helping with the demos. It wasn't easy for her. The public apology still stung, replayed in clips online, comments mixed between support and snark. Daughter learns value of dad's junk. One viral post quipped, but she pushed through. This valve system, she'd say to a group of wide-eyed teens, holding up my old schematic. It's not just parts. It's timing, knowing when to push and when to ease. I'd nod from the side, watching her explain the air-fuel mix, her voice gaining that steady rhythm. Alex came when he could, driving up from their new place in Portland. He'd sit in on sessions, asking smart questions about integrating tech sensors into the builds. No Napa gloss on him anymore. He talked shop now like one of us. The induction ceremony lingered in my mind, a quiet affair compared to the wedding chaos. Back in October, under those turning leaves, I'd stood on the podium with the helmet in hand, tools at my feet. The association rep pinned the badge, gold, engraved with Red Hank, engine architect. Applause thundered, but I kept it short. This is for the craft, I said, not the name. Now let's launch that track. We did, right there, first workshop on crash prevention, using mock-ups of barriers and valve failsafes. Molly was in the front row, taking notes, her service already underway. I'll help scale it, she promised after, and she did. Turned my scribbled ideas into printed modules, diagrams, quizzes, even safety checklists for young drivers. Restitution wrapped clean. The truck purred in my driveway, detailed and running smooth. Tools back in their racks, the heirloom set gleaming under shop lights. Molly wired the full amount weeks ago. $25,000, appraised value, no haggling. It's the least, she said, handing me the receipt. The collector's gesture with the helmet? Priceless. Eddie Klein sent the wrenches with a note. Truce, Hank. Use them well. No more scooping bargains. He'd gone public with his own apology, crediting my designs for his early wins. The racing world closed ranks, old rivalries fading into respect. But the real work was in the rebuilding, us, father and daughter. Dinners became routine. Chowder at my place, or takeout from the harbor diner. No forced talks, just stories. I'd recount the '85 season, the Eastern Circuit laps where the valve system first proved out. Heat built up, but it held. I'd say, stirring the pot. Molly listened, really listened, asking about the math behind the timing. Mom never mentioned this side, she'd admit. She saw the grease, the late nights, called it working hands like a curse. Those old recordings? We'd deleted them together, but the hurt lingered. Leaked from her digitized phone. They'd painted her mom in a harsh light, disdain for my world seeping into Molly's view. I bought into it, she said one night. Flash over foundation. Napa blinded me. Alex bridged it all. He stood by her from the start, even when Hargrove pulled back. The old man sent a check eventually, $10,000 for the fund. No note attached. Quiet amends. Their glossy circle? Fractured. Brunch invites stopped. Whispers turned to distance. They want perfect veneers, Alex told me over coffee. This was real. Messy, but real. He shifted his work to tech consulting with a mechanics angle, prototyping sensors for race safety. Joined a session once, demoing code that predicted valve stress. The kids loved it. Molly beamed, her hand in his. Media reframed the saga clean, no scandal fuel left. Auto Week ran a follow-up, Legacy in the Laps, Hank Miller's Lesson. Podcasts invited us, me on engineering ethics, Molly on family blind spots. She nailed one interview. I sold my dad's life's work for pennies. Learned. Craft earns respect, not cash. Views climbed, but we tuned it out. Focus stayed on the track. My consulting gig expanded, advising teams on reengineering for safety. Nothing glamorous. Audits of barriers, tweaks to fuel systems. Turned down TV spots. Preferred the hangar, grease on my hands. Spring thawed the harbor, and Molly's hours hit zero. But she stayed on, volunteering beyond the deal. Scaled the coursework into a full program, online modules for remote kids tied to the fund. Add your stories, she'd urge me. Makes it personal. We co-taught a class on heirloom tools, passing around the wrench set. This tune champions, I said. A teen asked Molly, what changed for you? She paused. Seeing the value. Not junk, legacy. The fund grew too. Donations poured in post-story, gear from collectors, checks from old teammates. We launched a junior clinic. Hands-on builds for safety awareness. Molly organized it, rosters full. Alex funded a simulator corner, blending his tech with my mechanics. One Saturday, under clear skies, we ran the first event. Engines hummed, kids wrenching under guidance. Hargrove showed up unannounced, suit traded for slacks. Heard about this, he said, shaking my hand. No sneer, just nod. Impressive. Molly hugged him awkward. He patted her back. Proud of you both. Cracks mended slow. Evenings we'd walk the harbor. Fog lights blinking, bells tolling. Dad, what if I hadn't sold the truck? Molly asked once. I shrugged. Would have missed this. The push. She nodded. Responsibility built it, earned, not bought. Alex joined sometimes, 3 of us talking future. Their Portland home, maybe a family track day. Summer hit, track buzzing. My consulting took me to Indy briefly, safety audit on a big series. Returned to find Molly leading a module solo. Valve timing for beginners, she called it. Kids applauded. I hung back, proud. The induction badge sat on my workbench, reminder of the path. No glory chase, just steady turns. Fall circled back, leaves red again. Anniversary of the wedding. We gathered at the speedway, small toast. Me, Molly, Alex, Tom Riley. To honest work, I raised my glass. They echoed. Molly's eyes met mine. and rebuilding. The truck waited outside, ready for the next haul. Life settled. Media faded. The lesson stuck in quiet ways. Young engineers emailed, inspired. Molly planned her own content, videos on craft respect, multilingual for her old interests. Alex backed it. Hargrove visited once, touring the hangar. Blue-collar hands, he said, no slur. Build empires. In the shop, tuning an old engine, Molly handed me a tool. Yours. We worked side by side. Rhythm natural. Money can't buy that, trust forged in fire and steel. The pieces fit, engine purring true. Winter loomed again, but warmer. The track's lights glowed late, classes running. Molly scaled more, partnerships with schools, fund events. I mentored steady, steering clear of glamour. Alex integrated tech seamless. Their circle? Smaller, truer. One night, post-class, harbor quiet. We're good, Dad? Molly asked. I nodded. Better. Honest work created it, bonds that last laps beyond. The second winter after the wedding tested everything, snow piling high against the hangar doors at Portland Speedway, but the safety track ran hotter than ever. I'd expanded the program that fall, turning it into a year-round operation with heated bays and online tie-ins for remote learners. Molly had scaled the coursework beyond what I imagined. Full curriculum now, certified by the Racing Association, reaching kids from Maine to the Midwest. Her community service hours were long done, but she stayed on as coordinator, logging volunteer time like it was her full-time gig. This is my contribution now, she'd say, organizing supply runs for tools and gear. Alex backed her up, his tech firm sponsoring the digital side. Apps for simulating valve timing, virtual laps to spot safety flaws. Mornings started early for me, coffee in hand, clearing the drive in my old Ford truck. It ran smoother than before, thanks to a tune-up we'd done together. Molly and me, side by side in the garage. No words wasted. Just the clink of wrenches and her asking pointed questions about the fuel mix ratios. See how the timing adjusts here? I'd point to the schematic. She'd nod, sketching updates for the modules. The heirloom torque set sat on the bench, engraved names catching the light. Eddie Klein's truce held. He'd even donated a batch of modern wrenches to the fund, stamped with a nod to my designs. Paying forward, his note read. The induction from last year still felt fresh, the badge on my workbench a quiet talisman. But the real honor came in the students. One kid, Jake, a lanky high schooler from the harbor town, reminded me of my younger self. Wide eyes on the first day, grease by week's end. Mr. Miller, your valve system. It's in my grandpa's old racer, he'd say, helping set up demos. Molly ran the intake session for him, explaining the math. How the system balanced pressure for cleaner burns, safer runs. No fluff, she'd instruct the group. Just the build. Alex demoed the app once, projecting failure points on a screen. Jake aced the sim, earning a spot in the advanced clinic. Rebuilding with Molly deepened in small ways. We grabbed chowder at the diner after classes, talking shop or silence. Comfortable now. The Napa fallout had faded. Hargrove's check kick-started a safety barrier fund, and he called quarterly, voice gruff but genuine. How's the track? He'd ask. Expanding, I'd report. His circle? Mostly gone, but Alex and Molly built their own. Friends from the fund, tech folks blending with mechanics. No more glossy invites. Instead, barbecues at their Portland place, engines idling in the yard. This is us, Alex said once, handing me a beer. Grounded. Media circled back sporadically, but we kept it tight. A documentary crew from PBS wanted the full story, wedding to track. I agreed to a short piece focusing on the craft. Molly joined, her apology evolved into a talk on legacy. I sold what I didn't understand, she said on camera. Now I build on it. Views hit steady, inspiring donations. A collector shipped a full engine block, replica of my '85 Champion. We used it for hands-on classes, kids disassembling under lights. No violence in the lessons, just precision, the quiet thrill of a part fitting right. Spring brought the first big event, Junior Safety Expo at the Speedway. Molly orchestrated it, Stalls on barriers, valve workshops, even a guest spot from Tom Riley. He wheeled in that restored racer again, number 7 gleaming. Red Hank's ride. He boomed to the crowd of 200, kids and parents mixed. I took the stage, helmet under arm. This ain't about wins, I said. It's about lasting. Re-engineer for tomorrow. Jake presented his project, a mod to the valve system using Alex's sensors. Applause roared. Molly hugged him proud. Hargrove flew in for the expo, unannounced again. Stood at the back, arms crossed, watching. After he approached. Hank, it's something. No sneer, just respect. Shook Jake's hand, asked about the mod. Molly watched, eyes soft. He's trying, she whispered. Alex nodded. Family does. Post-expo, we expanded further. Molly pitched partnerships, schools in Napa, tying back to the roots. Show them craft over cash, she said. I consulted on the curriculum, adding real-world audits, track inspections, where we'd spot wear in barriers or timing slips. One trip took me to a small series in Vermont. Returned with stories for the class. Saw a valve fail once. I'd tell them. Not on my watch, but close. Safety starts here. Molly documented it, videos for the online arm, multilingual, even her old skills shining. Ukrainian subtitles for international reach, English core, Japanese for the racing fans there. Summer hummed with activity. The track ran full clinics, enrollment doubling. Alex integrated more tech. Wearables for drivers, predicting stress like weather. Your design's upgraded, he told me. We tested prototypes in the hangar, Molly logging data. This could save laps, she noted, eyes on the readings. Evenings, harbor walks became tradition, 3 of us, fog lights guiding. What if the sale never happened? Molly asked one dusk. I shrugged. Path to here. Earned. Fall marked 2 years since the wedding. We hosted a quiet anniversary at the Speedway. Potluck with teammates, toasts to progress. Tom raised his glass. To Red Hank and his crew. Molly spoke next. To rebuilding right. Alex added. And forward. Hargrove sent regrets, but a new donation. Full barrier set for the track. Life layered on. Molly announced her pregnancy that night, hand on Alex's. A little builder, she said. I nodded, throat tight. Teach him early. The fund celebrated. Jake, now a junior mentor, grinned. Uncle Hank's valves for the kid? Winter thawed into spring again, the cycle steady. My consulting grew, national now, advising on reengineering standards. Turned down a big league offer. Preferred the hangar, mentoring direct. Molly scaled the program global, online certs, fund chapters in other states. Alex's tech made it seamless. Hargrove visited the Portland place, holding the bump. Grandkid in mechanics? Molly laughed. Why not? In the shop, tuning for a demo, Molly handed tools. Dad, we're solid. I nodded. Engines of tomorrow. The truck waited outside. Legacy rolling on. The expo grew annual, bigger each time. 3rd year, 500 attendees. Jake led a session crediting us. Media noted, Miller legacy accelerates. No scandal echo, just inspiration. Quiet nights, harbor bells tolling, we'd plan next builds. Money funded it, but honest work forged the bonds. Molly's bump grew. Alex built a crib with my tools. Heirloom start, he said. Summer clinics buzzed. Kids wrenching. I watched Molly teach, voice clear. Timing matters. She caught my eye, smiled. Responsibility created this family, craft, future. Fall winds brought the 2-year mark. Toast at the diner. To lasting turns. Molly raised her glass. Alex beside. And new laps. Life turned true, no fluff. The track's lights glowed late. Classes full. Young engineers wrote. Inspired by Red Hank. Molly replied, scaling dreams. One evening, post-class, snow flurrying. Ready for more? She asked. I nodded. Always. Honest work built empires. Ours included. The spring after Molly's announcement brought a new rhythm to the hangar. The air thick with the scent of fresh oil and blooming lilacs from the harbor edge. Her pregnancy progressed steadily. the bump showing under loose shirts as she coordinated the Safety Tracks expansion. We'd turned the program into a non-profit arm of the Racing Fund, with chapters sprouting in 3 states now, Maine, Vermont, and even a pilot in California, courtesy of Hargrove's quiet backing. Mornings, I'd arrive early, firing up the space heaters against the lingering chill, setting out tools for the day's clinic. Molly rolled in next, thermos in hand, logging plans on her tablet. "Dad, check this module," she'd say, pulling up a screen with updated valve diagrams. Added a section on sensor integration, Alex's input. I'd nod, tweaking the math on paper. No rush, just the steady click of ideas locking in. Jake, that lanky kid from the harbor, had stepped up big. Now 18, he mentored the younger groups, his voice echoing mine as he demoed torque techniques. "Tighten even or it strips," he'd instruct, passing the heirloom wrench set. Molly watched from the side, hand on her belly, smiling at his progress. "He's got your knack," she'd whisper. Alex joined weekends, his tech gear in tow, laptops for sim runs, prototypes of wearables that buzzed warnings for timing slips. "This pairs with your system," he'd explain to the class, projecting data flows. The kids ate it up, a blend of old-school mechanics and new code making the lesson stick. Rebuilding extended beyond the track now. Family dinners at my place became weekly, chowder simmering while we talked future. Molly shared ultrasound pics, the baby's heartbeat a steady thrum. "Naming him after you?" I teased. She laughed. "Hank Jr.? Too on the nose. But something strong. Maybe Riley, for the road." Alex nodded, chopping onions. Hargrove called more often, his tone warmer. "Tell Molly to take it easy," he'd say. "And that track, send me the expansion report." He'd wired another donation, barriers for the California chapter. No mention of the past slurs, just forward motion. The 3rd annual Junior Safety Expo hit in May, bigger than before, 600 attendees under sunny skies. Molly emceed from a stool, pregnancy not slowing her. "Welcome to Building Tomorrow," she opened, voice clear over the mic tom. Riley hauled in the racer again, crowds gathering. A keynote, helmet in hand. "Legacy isn't handed down, it's wrenched in." Jake unveiled his capstone. A full valve prototype, sensor-equipped, tested on a mock engine. Purred flawless. Applause thundered. Hargrove attended, front row this time, clapping steady. After he shook my hand. "You've built more than engines, Hank." Molly hugged him tight, the old cracks sealed. Media coverage grew respectful. NPR ran a segment, from wedding wreck to track triumph. No digging into the sale. Focus on the lesson. Molly guested on a podcast, multilingual flair showing English core, but clips translated for broader reach. "Craft over cash," she emphasized. Views surged, donations following. An engine collector donated a 90s chassis, perfect for advanced builds. We integrated it into classes, kids learning reengineering hands-on. No fluff, just the hum of parts aligning. Summer clinics overflowed, enrollment tripling. Molly scaled online, videos in multiple languages, Ukrainian for her roots, Japanese for global fans. "Makes it accessible," she said, editing footage in the hangar. Alex coded the platform, seamless uploads. One evening, post-class, we tested a new sim. The baby kicked as Molly leaned in. She laughed. "Little one's racing already." I placed a hand, feeling the flutter. Steady turns. Consulting pulled me farther. Florida for a series audit, back with fresh insights. "Barrier failures down 20% with your tweaks," the team lead reported. I shared it in class, Molly noting for modules. Jake assisted on the trip, his first out-of-state gig. "Learned from the best," he told reporters trailing us. The story trended. Red Hank's apprentice takes wheel. Fall brought the baby's arrival. Riley, born crisp October morning. Tiny fists clenched like he gripped a wrench. Hospital room buzzed. Alex beaming, Molly exhausted but glowing. Me holding him first. "Strong grip," I said. Hargrove visited, awkward with the bundle. "Grandson," he murmured, eyes soft. Tom sent flowers. The fund paused classes for a week, congrats pouring in. Winter settled gentle, Riley's cries mixing with harbor bells. Molly took maternity leave but peeked in, Riley in a carrier. Track time, she'd joke, bouncing him during quiet hours. Jake ran sessions solo now, crediting her structure. Alex balanced dad duties with tech updates. App version 2.0, predicting full system stress. The track's 4th year launched big. National certification tie-in, modules accredited. Molly returned part-time, Riley napping in a corner crib. Family build, she called it. We co-taught a class on legacy tools, passing the helmet around. A girl asked, "How'd you start, Ms. Miller?" Molly glanced at me. By learning what I almost lost. Hargrove relocated closer, Portland condo for weekends. Joined a clinic once, sleeves rolled, wrenching a bolt. Blue-collar lesson, he quipped. Laughter followed. Bonds tightened. Media evolved. A book deal offer for my story. Memoir on engines and family. I passed, but Molly outlined one. Tracks of Trust. Videos instead, her channel growing. Storytelling on craft, multilingual narratives. Riley cooed in cameos, innocent prop. Spring Expo 4,000 strong. Riley's first, in a tiny racing onesie. Jake keynote prototype in hand. From junk to this, he said, nodding to me. Molly presented expansions, Alex demoed tech. Hargrove sponsored a stall, Vines-themed barriers, a men's full. Summer clinics innovated. Hybrid builds, kids coding and wrenching. Molly scaled global Japan partnership, Valve clinics there. Your designs travel, she told me. Fall marked 3 years post-wedding. Toast at the Speedway, extended family, teammates. To earned laps, I raised. Riley gurgled. Molly smiled. And endless tracks. Life layered richer. Consulting national. Turned down international, home first. Molly's channel hit milestones, fund thriving. Alex prototyped baby-safe Sims, joking future. Quiet nights, Riley asleep, we'd walk the harbor. Dad, this is it, Molly said. Fog lights blinked. I nodded. Honest works engine. Winter warmed with growth. Track lights glowed, classes full. Young builders wrote, "Inspired forever." Molly replied, "Scaling dreams." One dusk, post-class, Riley toddling. More? She asked. Always. Legacy rolled on. Family, craft, unbreakable. The expo's legacy echoed. Annual beacon. 5th year loomed. Plans brewing. Jake led now, circle full. In the shop, tuning with Molly, Riley watching. Tools passed down, bonds forged. Money funded, work created. Summer winds carried progress. Clinics buzzed. Innovations sparked. Hargrove mentored remotely, full circle. Fall harvest, 4-year toast. To tomorrow's turns. Riley clapped. Cheers rose. Life true, no end. The track's path stretched, engines humming legacy. 5 years blurred into a steady roar at the track. The hangar now a hub for national programs, with Molly's multilingual modules reaching classrooms from Maine to Tokyo. Riley turned for that spring, a whirlwind of curls and questions, toddling through clinics in tiny overalls, wrench in hand. "Papa Hank, fix," he'd demand, pointing at a mock engine. I'd hoist him up, showing the valve gears turn. Molly watched from her desk, coordinating global tie-ins, Japanese partnerships booming, her videos on craft legacy pulling in young engineers worldwide. Alex's tech had evolved too. Full VR sims for safety drills, predicting crashes before they happened. Your designs, digitized, he'd say, tweaking code while Riley helped. The annual expo hit its stride, 1,000+ under clear skies. Jake, now 23, ran its seamless keynote on reengineering, crediting the Miller system. Hargrove, graying but spry, sponsored the barriers again. His Napa vines etched on them. Full circle, he told me, shaking hands. Molly emceed, Riley on stage waving a toy helmet. "This is what honest work builds," she said, voice steady. No echo of the wedding sail. That was ancient history, reframed in every module as a pivot to respect. Consulting kept me on the road lightly, audits in Indy, workshops in Florida, but home pulled stronger. The truck hauled parts for new chapters, tools passed to Riley for playbuilds. Dinners stayed simple. Chowder talks of races, Molly sharing channel stats, Alex demoing apps. Hargrove joined often, his condo a base for grandkid visits. Those working hands. He'd joke now, no slur, just nod to my calluses. Media faded to features. A TED-style talk on legacy ethics, Molly co-presenting. I undervalued craft once, she shared. Now we scale it. Views inspired more, fund donations tripled, global clinics launching. Winter wrapped gentle, Riley's first full class at 5. He torqued a bolt right, grinning. Molly hugged him. I nodded. Earned respect starts young. The track's lights glowed eternal, engines humming forward. Bonds forged in steel and time, unbreakable legacy rolling on.